Yeah, so this is standard randomized swords, which means we can get any kind of weapon that will be valid to kill those enemies in escape. I usually like to see either hammer or bow myself. I'm hoping for bow today.
Nice.
What about you, Crossbody?
Well, it's definitely not going to be a sword, so you'd see that on Uncle's sprite already. I also like bow, actually. Yeah, 2 votes for bow. I honestly hate hammer. Hammer's my least favorite item in this game. It's awful.
It's a pretty frustrating hitbox to work with, and of course, bomb starts definitely on the table. You know, I've seen quite a few races in this tournament where someone not picking up a bomb in escape kind of screwed them in the long run.
Yeah, of course, picking up a bomb early on in escape will allow the runners to check 3 extra chests early before they exit the castle. And we were both wrong. A red cane.
So this is a really fun start. Can be a bit annoying if they use a fair amount of magic.
Bomb already.
Yeah, Mclagging, striking rich.
Vanilla blue rupee there. That'll either be a blue rupee or a lantern in the original, or what we call vanilla Link to the Past.
Man, it is a privilege and honor to speak with somebody who knows a bit about the NMG.
I know a little bit. I know you don't pick up that chest. Even though you can get a lantern out of it, I know you don't pick it up because even the one in Link's house is too far out of the way for you to bother picking up. You want to get the one in Zelda's cell.
Yeah, they try really hard to force us to pick it up. One of the nice things about this randomizer is that, you know, we have the benefit of all of the tinkering that we could possibly do with the code, but there's like 3 different places you could pick up a lamp before the mantle normally.
Yeah, and actually another benefit to getting the lamp later on is you get to have the boomerang already equipped without having the menu to it. Well, Alucard is a little bit ahead, but got a little stuck on the railing there. Takes a hit, but there's a heart under this pot. Boop, got it. And, of course, multitasking, killing a blue guard with that pot, trying to get yet another bomb, because we're going to need quite a few in the beginning parts of the run.
Well, there's the bomb for both of our runners, 50+ rupees, doing pretty well so far. Neither of them really using much magic either, so, I mean, not really hard-pressed for ammunition here. This is a pretty comfy place to be, and this escape, which could be kind of frustrating sometimes, made pretty simple so far.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the red cane is you can have good strats where you can damage them with the block itself, or throw the block at people, or have the block explode on people. So, you know, if you just want to have people, it's kind of like a fast versus fun. You could have a fast strategy where you hit them one way and then hit them another way, or you could have a fun strategy like Alucard's doing right here and just letting the guy walk into it.
That's kind of like Skullwood's Gibdo strats.
I have none. I didn't think such a thing existed.
Well, you know that one Gibdo in that room with the bumper and he just gets stuck there for like forever?
Oh yeah, I love that guy. Not as fun as the beetle that bounces himself into the spikes and meets an unfortunate demise.
A demise? Are you sure you're playing the right Zelda?
If that's a reference to Breath of the Wild or something, I apologize.
No, I think it's Skyward Sword. I actually didn't even play it, to be honest with you. That's the baddie's name.
Oh wait, that's Majora's. Are you referring to Majora's Mask? You've met with an unfortunate fate, or
no? Crossbody, you missed one game in the series, and that unfortunately makes that reference completely meaningless.
Hey, I've played Wand of Gamelon though. Actually, I haven't, but I've seen playthroughs of it.
I was gonna say you're a man of true character and taste, but I'm not gonna rescind it. It's just, you know.
So what's pretty fun right now is we actually got a blue mail upgrade. This will have the damage from most enemies for these runners. It will not, however, have damage from traps like spikes and falling in pits. A little unfun thing is, looks like we have some regular Link sprites here, but you know, this is the bracket stage. Runners had to fight hard to get to this point, so they got their serious pants on. They don't want to mess up the pixels on their bomb jumps at this point in the tournament, and I completely understand.
Let alone with a Game 3 on the line. You raise a really good point. You know, maybe this is the Breath of the Wild skin.
Yeah, the blue. Isn't this his new look in Smash Brothers?
Yeah, I saw that. And they're using a link between world for the Zelda characters.
Which is basically a Link to the Past.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Plus,
So,
this game
ALTTPR
connects to
fans
Super
out there.
Metroid, and they've got Ridley as a new character, so...
So apparently, across the world, the randomizer is canon.
Yeah. Well, this is not... Smash Brothers is not the first game that Link and Samus have been in together.
Absolutely right about that. SMRPG, right?
SMRPG, that's the one. There might have been one before that, I don't know, and Samus probably appeared in an episode of Captain N, but whatever. Those worlds are kind of...
Some pretty good references. Maybe we're gonna find a power glove since we are talking about playing with power here.
Yeah. Did Kevin have a power glove in the show? I know he had a zapper. There's the bow, so good for us. We kind of guessed that, right?
And the
flippers, wow. And this map here means that there will be one final item to pick up in the sanctuary.
Wow, so Canis and Maria serving us pretty well so far. I mean, Alucard had plenty of magic to spare, even though he ended up using more than Mclagging. But with that bow, I mean, pick up some arrows, and we're pretty much good to go as far as weapons go for a while.
Yeah, we might get to check some tree pools to hopefully find some bows or some arrows for that bow. One of the earliest spots that they might really want to find that for is for the mini Moldworm Cave. And there we have Mirror, so careful not to use it on your way out and warp back to the beginning of the castle. But
unless, of course, you want to be a madman and do South Shore first. There's no reason you'd ever do that.
Yeah, I guess that would put you out. Still not as fast as a save and quit.
Right. But as you mentioned before, we have tree poles coming up here. Neither of them checking the first bush crab. They've killed 4 enemies and taken damage since, so that's going to be green, small magic decanters, it looks like.
Alucard opting not to pick up that arrow drop, and he also hasn't killed any guys, so I don't think he's going to be even checking the tier 1 after this. So there are 3 different tree pools, and basically you can count on having tier 2 coming out of Hyrule Castle. Unless you don't take a hit, then you're at tier 3. Because you are forced to kill enough enemies to bring it to tier 2 or 3. Just depends on if you get hit.
Yeah, and it's very rare that people just don't, take any damage at all. Oftentimes damage boosting is just going to be handy. But so, yeah. 300 rupees here in the forest. We also had a map check. It looks like Green Pendant was at Desert Palace, and we had crystals at Eastern Palace and Tower Hera, neither of which seem to be 5/6.
Yeah, so the object of the game, of course, is the same as the original vanilla game, and that is to find 7 crystals to unlock the seal on Ganon's tower. Now, the medallions, the pendants, like the one you see on the tracker under DP for Desert Palace, the pendants also play their own part. As many avid Rando fans know, if you collect all 3 pendants, you will be rewarded with usually cash, but let's hope it's something better today. So the Master Sword pedestal in the middle, in the upper left corner of the map in the woods there, will have a random item. It's usually the Master Sword. It's been shuffled in as well. And if the players find the Book of Medora, they'll be able to read the text and see what is on the pedestal.
And of course, in a fun world that this randomizer can be, sometimes you can't actually have the book to check it, and sometimes you find the book there. You can, pull the pedestal if you have the required items, even if you, can't read what's actually there. Well, here in the Thieves Hut, not a whole lot in here. A little bit of health and some capacity upgrades, even a few rupees. We're already pretty close to the 500 we need for Zora.
Yeah, minus the 100 that they'll spend on the bottle vendor, and possibly another 50 they'll spend on bombs, but they're still well on their way. Actually, if they do a little glitch known as the Houlihan room, which will be difficult to set up at this point without picking up a glove, that would pretty much set them up.
Well, it does seem like they're taking care to pick up any rupees that they come across at this point, with rare exception. And we're finding pretty much everything we need so far. Not a lot of progression, though. We have the mirror, which I think is probably the most rewarding thing we've seen so far.
So I'd just like to point out that was the first arrow that Alucard picked up inside that chest there.
Yeah, you did mention before he skipped a few drops, didn't he?
Yeah, at least one. But if he's planning on buying some bombs here in the village, then he should be able to dispatch those mini Moldorms in the South Shore Cave. Now, with the flippers, that does actually put King Zora in the logic. Now, King Zora can be accessed with a minor sequence break even without the flippers, but it's got to be putting that in the players' heads. It's 3 items plus an extra item if they can manage to get over to Zora's domain with 500 rupees.
Yeah, fake flipper is definitely an appealing play, you know, in this scenario without the flippers, but either way, definitely a couple things they can check with their South Shore routing. Looks like we've already picked up 4 pieces of heart, so we have 5 heart containers now.
And Flipper will also make it a little bit faster to get all the way over to the Ice Rod Cave. So named because it's full of ice, and you normally find a rod there. Both runners checking the library and seeing a piece of heart on top of the bookshelf. They would need a pair of Pegasus boots to pick it up. I doubt they'll return just for a piece of heart, though. Alucard not even grabbing a heart container on the race game, but it is a costly investment of time.
Yeah, and the fun thing about A Link to the Past, and any sort of speedrun, whether it's this or the vanilla game, is that dying is always more costly than taking a safety in every situation I can think of, really. But that being said, you know, Blue Mail, we don't really feel too threatened at this point. Nothing really difficult that we're doing just yet. But it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to take an extra safety in a tournament race.
Mm-hmm. We are still 3 items from Dark World access as well. We have our first divergence here. Alucard has gone toward Eastern Palace, and Mclagging showed us a cool little trick here that if you were in Japan and had the original release of the game, you could do this. And speaking of Power Glove, there it is. I guess we were speaking of that a while ago, a couple times. It's so bad.
Alucard is playing with power now.
Oh, and look, fire underwater. What is this, SpongeBob?
I was going to say a paradox rod.
So Alucard will be able to full clear Eastern Palace. It is one of the 7 crystals he'll need to get into Ganon's Tower. The game will not expect him to beat this dungeon without a lamp, so if he finds anything back here, it could clue him in on other items along the sequence break. Now, when Mclagging heads over to Eastern, which we'll probably do soon, he'll actually have a fire rod, which still won't put Eastern Palace in the logic, but it'll make the dark rooms a lot easier for him.
Yeah, the most frustrating one, a room that has a strat often called Gifted with Greenies, it's just this room after the central hub, is easily the most, threatening place in the dark rooms, and that does have torches that you can shoot pretty easily with a fire rod, so that's going to come in pretty handy here.
I want to say Alucard was probably tempted to come to Eastern Palace first, if for no other reason but to pick up some arrows here. Plenty of pots with arrows under them in this place.
Absolutely a fantastic point, and decent chance of enemies that drop them as well. There's quite a few enemies that we kill in this dungeon that are pretty weak. Oh, we do get to see what Hylia Island is, and it's just a big 20.
Okay. Now, there is also a treasure room in here where Alucard can pick up 90 rupees, which would put him into range of getting the Zora item, but those rupees are going to be quite difficult to pick up without a lantern because they're in the dark basement.
Yeah, I want to say that he can keep his light cone from the torch. You just have to do it very quickly to get all the rupees and get back out of the room before it turns dark again.
Mclagging would be able to. Alucard didn't get the fire rod, though.
Right.
Now, Mclagging, actually, speaking of red things, just grabbed the red mail from the hobo under the bridge. Yeah, so pretty safe. Pretty high defense, low HP right now. There's some of those arrow drops Alucard picking up. Hey,
I mean, when you live under a bridge, you gotta, really layer up, and it looks like our Hobro friend under the bridge was willing to give the jacket off of his back. I'm kind of impressed by that.
Hey man, bros before hobos.
Fair enough. Red mail it is, though. Mclagging making his way to the Ice Rod Cave. We have the easier of the segments for the Dark Room in Eastern Palace here for Alucard.
Yeah.
This one's just pretty much hitting a switch.
Yep, picking up a key. Now, do not adjust your monitors. This is perfectly fine. This is what this is supposed to look like if you don't have the lamp. And holy cow, can you say Stoops Jet? We've got the bow, fire rod, powder, flippers, mirror, red cane, flute already. So Mclagging was no doubt considering going over to Eastern Palace, but with this layout here, he can activate that flute, so get your swag ducks ready.
Yeah, we'll waste no time. We're just 15 minutes into the race, and in the meantime, Alucard does pick up a shield, which is not nearly as hype. I'm really not finding much at all here in this dungeon. Somebody on the restream side of the world has clairvoyance, realizing that we wanted to hear our anthem. All rise for the Hyrulean national anthem. Alrighty, play ball.
Release the swag duck. So if Alucard does find an item in Eastern Palace, that will help him narrow down the location of the lamp, since basically whatever items say it's book here and he's supposed to use that to get in the desert, he'll know that the lamp comes somewhere before that desert play. Unless, of course, we get Titan's Mitts, because then you don't need book to get in the desert, but... Bah! This is an example.
There are absolutely quite a few different scenarios that can unfold, and that's really what this randomizer is all about, folks, if you're just kind of getting into it. These runners have to try to make the best out of what they do find to figure out where they should be going.
Alucard, I thought that he'd go for that red rupee drop, but stocking up on his arrows here, showing some nice Cane of Samaria strats. Takes a couple extra shots, but he will be refilled on his magic after this boss fight. Not much can go wrong here other than running out of arrows, but he's got plenty of extra. I guess he could die too, but...
We're certainly not going to see
likely.
that from him today.
not likely with the blue mail and 5 hearts and all that.
And even less likely from Mclagging, who has red mail walking into this dungeon. We're also seeing an impressive array of duck jokes and, I don't know, rhyme schemes that are coming from the duck being running amok.
Yeah, the duck is amok, the goose is loose, the fowl is on the prowl. I am the terror that flaps in the night.
That's probably my favorite one.
Can we just get, like, I really want us to get... Do we have different skin patches? Like we said, you could, if you don't want to play as Link, you can play as Princess Zelda or as Samus or a whole slew of characters. I want duck sprites. So we can have custom duck sprites. And I want there to be a Darkwing Duck one.
I mean, I think Darkwing Duck would be pretty popular.
Or we could have, instead of Link, have Link be Darkwing Duck, and then the actual duck is like his jet that's kind of shaped like a duck, and it comes and picks him up.
All right, I like where your head's at. This is reminding me of a few different mods for a few games I've played.
Darkwing Duck's a game.
That it is, and we've entered the world of crossover randomizer at this point. I think the sprites can continue to expand, and we're up to quite a lot of them now, like some 100 to work with, I think.
Alucard's still opting
bomb
up
accuracy.
Arrows and yeah, really good bomb usage there. Still refusing to pick up arrow and rupee drops though. So
I don't know what to make of that. That seems a little odd to you, doesn't it?
Unless he's planning on hula-hanning before going to Zora, which actually, I kind of like that play. Since you come out of Houlihan in Link's house, now you can pick up, what is it, 9 times 6 times 5, 270 rupees, is that right?
Like 250 or something. I mean, yeah, you're in the right range.
So that would give him enough for Zora, with enough left over to get into Palace of Darkness later. I could see that being a play, and then when you come out of that that Houlihan room, where you get all those rupees, it puts you at Link's house, which is right where he'll want to be to start doing his flipper checks, to do Hobo, and then swoop down to the portal to Zora.
So there's some relatively convenient routing, and I guess we'll see by the time that Mclagging leaves Eastern Palace, who has done pretty much the same checks, whether or not that will have ended up being time neutral or a benefit to Alucard. I mean, from the sounds of it, what you're describing, it seems like he will save time on this.
Oh, he's gonna grab these rupees, so... Okay, you can get 20 each trip in here, so... Wouldn't step 5 feet to pick up a red rupee, but we'll go inside a cave to get 20 rupees. But he was probably just hoping to pick some up. He had tons of chests that rupees could have been in, so... Trying to live the dream.
Yeah, and only having to do a couple of, dives in, not too bad. We saw on Mclagging's screen there the use of the fire rod in Eastern Palace to make that dark room simpler. Relatively low on health, surprisingly though, down to 2 hearts. That damage skip was proving to be, or damage boost for the big key chest was proving to be a little difficult.
Yeah, and the red mail actually does not mitigate damage against the bubbles that guard the button, so that's part of the reason he's having some lashback there, but okay. Back up to 4 hearts.
And finding all the bombs and arrows everywhere.
And there is Alucard's red mail.
Okay, we're seeing some pretty interesting arrow strats here for the Armos Knights. Mclagging knocking them down with great prejudice.
Alright, so with the flute, we actually have a couple items on Death Mountain, plus one that can sequence break, plus all of Tower of Hera. But since they have the fire rod, they can even get the item in the basement past the tile room. And looks like maybe Mclagging is going to do a Houlihan here. Alright, so if he goes to this gravestone, what he's going to do is he's going to open the gravestone, then place a bomb. That will confuse the game, and it won't know what room to put him in, so it'll kind of put him into this failsafe. It's basically like the 404 room. If you put in the wrong URL on a website, it's like 404.
So this is what the room does. This is the room that the game sends you to if it doesn't know what's going on. And in this particular instance, we're messing with the Y coordinate for Link, and that offset is what makes the game trigger this. But the worst possible life lesson, the laggering.
You think that's worse than arrow capacity? I don't know.
I mean, at least that's functional. You don't lose frames to arrow capacity.
I mean, you also don't have to use the bow. Or you don't have to use the boomerang. You could just not use a different item. And the boomerang, it can be useful, though. I mean, for hitting switches and picking up items from afar, or attacking enemies diagonally, because what are you going to swing your sword diagonally? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is still a isometric view top-down Zelda, so you do have a point there. But, I mean, the lag frames. I don't want even a chance that I get menu wrong.
Alright, and get ready for Swag Duck version 2.
And yet again, the goose is loose.
The hen is gone again.
I wish I had more of these, but
The swan is gone.
it's just flying away from my mind right now. Although I'm sure chat will alert us to any other possibilities.
Oh, look at that. Alucard already showing how useful the red boomerang can be, using echolocation to navigate through this dark cave.
I mean, personally, I'd rather just, throw a block, but maybe I just have a grudge against this boomerang.
There are a lot of different strategies you can employ to get through dark rooms. Red cane is a good one. I actually, with 21 bombs, I really just like to put bombs down and just kind of mark where I am, and then you can see where you move relative to it. It's kind of the same idea with the red cane, but it's a little faster.
Yeah, I mean, my prejudicial views about boomerangs notwithstanding, cross product is absolutely right. That's actually a really great use for boomerang, particularly the red boomerang, because you can, use it for a much greater distance, and you can see where that wall is more lively. But we got Hammer in Agina's Cave and Ether on Desert Ledge, so stacked desert right now.
Okay, so Alucard making the right play. Not actually going up to Hera immediately, but happens to come and grab the hammer at Agina's Cave, which will allow him access to Eastern Death Mountain after completing Tower of Hera, so it's going to work out well for him. Oh, and now that I think about it, the runners didn't actually have a weapon to kill Moldorm before they got that hammer. That's kind of the big hang-up.
Yeah, and whether or not you would wait on that is, a runner's decision to make. Both of them did make the right decision today, because doing that Agina's Cave check first, there's no reason you want to climb this mountain twice for that. We see a heart container, almost vanilla, on top of Spectacle Rock, and inside a Big 20. So it seems pretty straightforward. We do all of Hera, we can full clear everything in there. Not having boots kind of stinks for doing that bomb jump, but then we just go to the east side and onwards from there. Oh, we got a map check.
Yeah, Dark World map check. We have red crystals at Skullwoods and Turtle Rock, and bad pendants at Swamp Palace and Ice Palace. At least it's not a pendant in Thieves Town. Pendant Swamp is pretty bad, but I wouldn't put it behind a Thieves Town pendant.
And of course, there's the long shot opportunity or possibility that we could end up skipping our pendant dungeons today, and those would be pretty handy ones to skip.
And speaking of long shot, they probably wouldn't want to go into Swamp Palace, Pendant or Crystal, without the hook shot.
Yeah, fun fact, this particular iteration or reincarnation of Link, as far as timeline goes, or storyline goes, is one of the only ones to have worked with 3 different iterations of the hook shot. The hook shot, the long shot, and the claw shot.
Don't forget the double claw shot.
It was Link's Awakening, right?
No, that was Twilight Princess. Was Twilight Princess Link the same as this Link?
No, not at all.
Okay. I haven't taken a good look at that official timeline in quite a while.
Honestly, I mean, it's a headache to even think about, really.
Shoutouts to me not being the first commentator to mention Link's Awakening today.
All right. Hey, I mean, there was an opportunity naturally with the Chain Chomp room anyway.
The Bow Wow room?
Yeah, exactly. Well, a perfectly executed bomb jump from Mclagging. Alucard's going to go all the way up stairs and then drop back down. Kind of the safer route. If you don't have boots, it's a little harder to set up, so certainly understand that.
Yeah, and this is going to buffer Mclagging's lead just a little bit as well. It's already a tiny bit ahead, and now he's the tiniest bit more ahead.
Yo, that swag bumper skip walk. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. You don't actually need boots to dash through that bumper. Alright, now this is a really obnoxious... Oh, man, playing around that center hole, that would drop him down 2 floors if he was to fall into that.
Moldorm out for blood.
So, on the plus side, no enrage phase, just 3 hits with the hammer. Okay, nails it. After that little kerfuffle in the beginning, does not get a holy moly. finishes the fight. Alucard might gain some time here on him, though, if he has a cleaner fight, and it looks like he does. So the plus side is, since the hammer does enough damage, it will bypass the enrage phase of low health. However, the bad part is you have to use the hammer, and it stinks.
Did we just get Moon Pearl?
We did just get Moon Pearl, so that is Dark World access. We have a glove, we have a hammer, and we have Moon Pearl. So runners will be able to go ahead and they still need a sword to do Skull Woods, but technically can do all of Thieves Town. And there is one chest in the basement. However, there can only be 2 items in Tower of Hera. One of them, of course, was that Moon Pearl, and the vestibule also had, I think, bombs.
Either that or like a fiber. It wasn't anything of value.
One of those random fill algorithm items.
Well, do you like practicing pumping? Because this cave is perfect for you.
Pump you up, does Arnold. Sorry.
You've got to mash faster. What are you doing?
Speed gaming is in no way affiliated with Arnold, so.
Neither Arnold Palmer nor Arnold Schwarzenegger, depending on whichever reference you wanted to make there.
Or Hey Arnold.
Oh man, that's a better one.
Oh, we have the other disappearing block trick here. This is a really nice one to do in Death Mountain. If you missed it on Mclagging's screen, you're about to see it on Alucard's screen on the left here. You just have to mash the Y button with mirror equipped as you push a block, and poof, it disappears.
Looks like Mclagging picked up half magic in the bottom half of Paradox Cave here. Fun thing about this mirror glitch you were talking about, really only works in caves that are tied to the overworld. You can't do it in a dungeon because it'll just take you back to the start.
So using those bombs, getting 3 out of the 4 mini Moldorms, and actually doesn't really need to kill him since he's basically just going to save and quit after here, unless he happens to find Titan's Mitt.
And taking the time to fight them actually will leave the lead up to almost nothing at this point.
Yeah, unless he maybe forgot to check the floating island item, and because you saw Alucard just immediately saves and quits, so they did spiral. I guess he just wants to see what's on that floating island. Maybe he missed it his first time. But this definitely will give Alucard an advantage either way. And he's going to go straight on over to Hype Cave. 5 really quick and easy items to pick up. What did he miss? Is he... Oh, he's going to go into Spike Cave, yeah. So, well, okay. I got to hand it to him. Half magic and blue cane. And hammer and glove. That's all you need.
That's a really gutsy thing to be doing, though. I mean, it makes sense why you're already up here. So, I mean, definitely agree with doing this now over, like, way later. But, I mean, that's a really low % chance item location.
Yeah, Alucard opting to leave it behind and going for more dense locations. We'll possibly check Spike Cave if he comes back up here with the Titan's Mitt to get the rest of the items, but we'll see if Mclagging's thoroughness pays off for him.
As for the Hype Cave, though, we're getting a fetch quest, 300 rupees, 20, a sword, and another 300 rupees.
So Mclagging thought, you know, I got 300 rupees in Spike Cave. Well, Alucard got 600 rupees and a shovel and a sword. So that's pretty neat. And it looks like he's just going to go ahead and full clear Palace of Darkness. Probably checked out the pyramid, maybe even catfish along the way. But this is another crystal dungeon which is rich with items. And basically that's what the runners want to do right now is clear out all these crystal dungeons they have available. 5 items in Palace of Darkness, 2 items in Skull Woods, 4 items in Thieves Town. Plus they're all going to be required to complete for the rest of the, to open up Ganon's Tower anyway. So it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, exploration as well as clearing the game.
Well, 34 minutes into this race, things are starting to solidify a bit for our runners as far as how they're going to approach the rest of the seed. This is where, a lot of people start thinking, hey, what's my play after this play? And like you mentioned, Palace of Darkness is clearly where our runners are going to go next. Although they could go west, check a couple of items, just not as bountiful as going this way. But they're probably already thinking of their next move after this. Part of why they make it into the top 128 bracket is because throughout 7 weeks or 7 rounds of Swiss, they were making exactly those kinds of calls and those kinds of decisions.
So one thing I would also like to point out is, since Swamp Palace is a pendant, it is possible to have hookshot inside Ganon's tower. Hookshot is required actually to beat Ganon's tower, unless you cheat and hover with boots. But so the caveat to the possibility of, it's not really cheating, it's a minor glitch and it is legal in this tournament. It's just that so few runners are able to do it that those that can do it, they get a potentially can get a really good advantage here. And Mclagging, showing more thoroughness, checks the pyramid, so he'll get the mushroom. Might even turn that into the witch on his way to Catfish. But if the hookshot were to be in Ganon's tower, that would mean we have to find boots somewhere to get into Misery Mire. You need one of the 2 items.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Honestly though, I don't think the cheating memes are the best meme for that. Just call them the hover boots.
Hover boots.
I mean, we're just breaking sequence for the entire series. I mean, this is the DLC item. Wow, the antithetical lamp in Palace of Darkness. Interesting location to find that. So with that, Alucard has a way to see in the dark.
Yeah, I don't think he was too concerned about the dark rooms here anyway. Possibly even has a map open in front of him. I like to do that. But either way, he's not going to have to worry about it.
Also of note, that mushroom on Pyramid led immediately to a Master Sword sword upgrade, so Mclagging actually does have a weapon advantage here. And very convenient routing for all of the stuff in Northeast Hyrule.
Okay.
Guess it remains to be seen what we're going to find here in Palace of Darkness. Still a lot of item locations potentially here.
Alright, looks like he's got his mirror ready, so after he sees what Catfish drops for him, which is a bottle, it's possible progression, but always good to have either way as a safety. He's gonna flute, and we'll see if he follows Alucard's footsteps in the Palace of Darkness. No, he's back up Death Mountain. He actually didn't save the old man, possibly reluctant to do the cave without his sword, but now he's got 2.
And of course, exhausting some of these smaller checks while we have flute, while we have, most of the items that we need. Not a bad time sink, unless, he ends up finding a bunch of locations that have nothing that Alucard can then later on skip. This is all of Palace of Darkness that he is currently completing ahead of Mclagging, so that could potentially bite him when it comes to dungeon progression.
Yeah, I think one of the, biggest, in the grand scheme of things, the biggest differences might be that sword. Alucard might run into a sword and be in go mode and not even think about checking that pyramid. And if it's a difference between the Master Sword and the Tempered Sword, then that could be a much more difficult endgame for Alucard.
Well, we've got our first chest here in the Dark Maze, still got one more and the big chest itself. Mclagging on his way to Palace of Darkness as well. Has everything he needs to complete it, with a bomb bag upgrade in the Dark Maze, not finding much at all in Palace of Darkness outside of that lamp, it looks like.
Yeah, but with Misery Mire and Turtle Rock both required after this, it's a pretty good pickup.
Yeah, definitely something you want to get out of the way when you kind of complete it. Palace of Darkness is a pretty annoying place to have to double dip. With quite a long approach time as well, so the only thing that could have made these dungeons a little more convenient, I suppose, would be to be able to do both this and Eastern Palace at the same time, but I don't believe that was possible this time.
I think it would have been, and they didn't find anything in Eastern Palace, any progression, I don't believe. They would have just had to skip it and then mirror over after completing pod, but I mean, I wouldn't not go into Eastern Palace because of an absence of lamp, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, they're already over here anyway for that power glove in Sarsarilla's house. You know, Desert Palace is our green pendant. I'm wondering if, Saharshalar is going to get any love today.
Could happen if they find the book somewhere. He could also have the required boots to get into Misery Mire, but we need to find Gold Glove and Mirror into the back way to Desert Palace.
Well, that sounds like some potentially convoluted logic. I was just more talking about, Sriracha sauce having an item we care about, at least behind the green pendant at all. But, potential trolls also on the table when it comes to, Sharky Land.
Trolls, you say?
Problems, Sriracha sauce? I'm running out of puns. Problems,
Sarsaparilla.
boom shakalaka.
Ice Rod. Ice Rod being oftentimes one of the most elusive required items, since it's not going to be blocking off any progression other than the man Trinex himself. Well, he's more of a dragon man. Well, no, I guess he's just a dragon. But Ice Rod is only required to kill Trinex, so it could basically be anywhere other than behind Trinex. It could even be in Turtle Rock itself. It could be on that pedestal.
Could be in the Bow Wow room.
Could be in the Bow Wow room. It could be in the weird Mr. Right room.
Mr. Right.
There's another character from Link's Awakening.
Ah.
No, he writes to that goat, Christine. But Christine like catfishes him and sends him a picture of Princess Peach.
Well, Hyrule's a pretty wacky world.
That's Kahoolan. But, yeah. You'd have to dream up something crazy like that.
Nah, not even in your worst nightmare. Oh, there's a Trogdor reference that was being made. I completely missed it. Anyway, though, with House down, Alucard is making his choice about where to go next, walking away from here, not wanting to go back through any kind of portal. So
Yeah,
possibly Catfish and Pyramid?
Yeah, that looks like that's what's going to happen. So he will pick up that Master Sword. At least do Pyramid, maybe or maybe not Catfish. Maybe the Mushroom on Pyramid will entice him to go to Catfish, since he'll be able to combine that with turning it in. And no worries about using the Mushroom to glitch the Magic Bat item, since they've already found Powder.
Though they could still fake Powder.
Yeah, you can fake Powder with Powder. You don't need Mushroom to fake Powder. I've actually kind of toyed with the idea of using fake Powder in NMG. There are some really convenient spots in Mire, Turtle Rock, and Ganon's Tower where you are just running out of magic. So it actually can be worked in to be like a faster version of Powder that you just can't use in as many places.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Mire would be like that one room with the Wizrobes right before the big key door. Or right before that bridge.
Yeah, and then you'd get a refill, or basically you do your 4 fire rod shots to get the big key, and then you're already down to 50% magic. So
man, could you imagine being so good at this game that you don't need Powder?
I don't know. I only play Randomizer, so I just hope that it comes somewhere down the line.
Well, this is a very handy safety for them to have for the rest of this run, though. Both of these runners can powder any of the bunny beams or anti-fairies to get a full fairy, which will be, I believe, at 7 or 8 hearts refill. Very helpful whenever they're in a jam, and most dungeons have them.
Yeah, a lot of the earlier dungeons, you know, the late world dungeons and even Palace of Darkness, they have fairy rooms. In the later dungeons, they're like, ha, we're not going to put fairy rooms in this one. We're just going to give you powder so that you can get fairies wherever you want. Take that. B-Tour for Alucard. So he will immediately flute to the village and see what the sick kid has, I'm sure. And then he'll be right where he wants to be to clear out Skull Woods and Thieves Town.
Well, he's been taking an extremely long nap. His nap percent world record right here is going to yield him 20 bucks.
I wish I could get 20 bucks for napping. Oh wait, he gave up 20 bucks.
Honestly, yeah, that's the bad thing too. He paid to play on that one, but I wish I had the nap percent world record.
Don't you think they should have like nap stations? You know, so if you're on your break from work, if it's too hot to take a nap in your car, you just go drive up to like a little nap in.
We need to figure out how to make some kind of human battery for us to just, plug into recharge. That'd be a lot easier. Magic battery, though.
Yeah.
So
that's it. We're both really excited. It's okay.
French vanilla again. So not quite from the smith itself, but we are getting that sword tempered really close to the same spot.
It was also kind of funny that both of the Y items on that top right tile led to a sword. And I wonder if the shovel is going to be the other sword. Butter sword hit shovel, guys. What do you think?
Well,
Alucard forgot he doesn't have the mitts. And now Mclagging doesn't do Magic Bat or Sick Kid. He might actually enter Dark World and do mirror strats to get over there while he's playing the overworld.
Yeah, that'd be a convenient way to route through. I mean, you only spend a couple of seconds doing the warp animation, but you get to save all of the walking around that we're seeing Alucard do right now. So kind of a handy way to route in all of these things at once.
Alucard, despite that, does enter the Dark World first. And if he goes into Skull Woods, he will be all too happy to have a nice sword to kill Mothula. Even with half magic fire out, I'd still take the butter sword. And Alucard enters the front half of Skull Woods, where Mclagging goes into the back half for... Well, okay, just does this one first. So if this is a crystal dungeon and you already have fire out and you're ready to full clear it, it can be faster to go kill Mothula first. Just to see what item. But Alucard does find one of the two items immediately. We'll have to route around to that pinball room so we can say hi to your favorite Gibdo.
Yeah, this poor guy, he just wants a hug. Really aggressively seeks out that hug. He is so eager for that hug. He will actually put himself in between this bumper. And yeah, he's gonna have a bad time.
He's in it. Yeah. It's tall Alucard, but unable to hug Alucard.
Mclagging also juking the hugs, doing a really nice boost off of his bumper.
Alucard looks to be setting up a bomb jump here. He did pick up the big key on the left side of this area. Oop. Basically,
Alucard was just pixel south.
Yeah, you basically have to be on the northmost pixel you can get to without falling in the hole. And it's just a small key, which is next to worthless in this dungeon. Other than that first one that you have to get in Pinball Room or the other two chests, you really don't care about small keys.
Yeah, it's rare that you leave this dungeon without excess keys.
Both of the runners leaving the big key chest to last, which is the most time-consuming one, so that makes sense.
Nice thing, though, is they do have a Canis Marius, so when they do go through there, pretty easy to grab.
Yeah. And so there are 3 unchecked chests so far in Skull Woods, and one of those 3 will have an item. But Mclagging's going to have to go back to the Pot Prison and get his... He didn't pick up a small key on the right, did he? I don't believe so, since Alucard has this 1 key. Alright, so yeah, Mclagging will have to go over to Pop Prison. He had a very clean Mothula fight too.
Yeah, he was in such a hurry that he just didn't even think about keys and all of that. He just wanted to go right down and burn them.
Gotta get back to Pop Prison and get that item I missed. Now, Mothula drops a compass, so there is still one more chest in the monolith area up here. And Mclagging is going to check that for us. That could be the item, or it could be in the big key chests behind the button.
Yeah, so this is the one thing that stinks about, you know, going to the boss first is, you know, sometimes you just have to do some backtracking, and it feels like you're wasting time, even if it actually does save time.
Yeah. Actually, Alucard, that key that he found in the big chest actually saved him some time from farming the key off of the Gibdo in the penultimate room of this place.
Good point. Gets to skip that completely. And we found out that the other chest in the room or the back half of Skull Woods was a big 20, so not a whole lot here in Skull Woods, but we get to knock this out of the way.
Yeah, and Alucard will be done when he finds that big 20 Mclagging. Still skipping the big key chests, but he'll have to go ahead and pick up his whatever it was in the Pop Prison that was so insignificant I forgot what it was.
You know, I'm kind of impressed with Mclagging's Moth fight, because Alucard, even with a sword upgrade, took longer to finish off the Moth. Of course, RNG does always play a role in this fight, though.
Off the Moth.
So what, a grand total of 70 rupees from this dungeon? This is, eesh. At least it's over quickly, though. We have left the Skull Woods here, and we are probably heading to, what, Thieves Town?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick detour, at least to check the Bumper Cave. This is an item Mclagging will be able to see on the ledge, but won't be able to grab until he finds Cape. It is just a big 20, and if he continues his thorough strats, which I assumed he would, he's going to go ahead and check the graveyard. He's going to go over here. He's going to check the graveyard cliff as well and use the mirror to get into the cave. So this is a fun little path. If you don't have boots and you don't have Titan's Mitt, you can still get to this location. You just have to follow this really roundabout path through the graveyard.
Roundabouts? Nobody knows how to use those. That's a traffic pun that works in a lot of places. I don't know if they use anything like that, to be honest, but...
In Hyrule?
Hey, I'm just saying. People hate roundabouts. Well, 300 rupees in the graveyard ledge. Not making for a happy Mclagging here. Not really finding anything of importance. However, getting this done does give him peace of mind. He's not going to have to think about whether or not he's chasing down these items later.
Yeah, and Alucard is doing the same thing. They're going to have a little high five in the meadows here. The garden. The rock garden.
I think it's just a cemetery.
Are those graves with the little Triforces on top? So we'd see just how much time Mclagging picked up over Alucard in Skull Woods with both superior routing and a cleaner Moth fight.
Yeah, I'm still impressed by the Master Sword fight there. I mean, that went about as good as it could have. But with Village of Outcasts, we'll have a couple of items here in the overworld, and then we'll pretty much be diving right into Thieves Town. We find our Bombos medallion in the C-shaped house.
C is for combustion coin.
Alliteratively, Swedish there. Very nicely said. We have a chess game as well, and a digging game that we can check. Not sure if they'll be doing both of those things. We don't have Titan's Mitts, so you can't really return to Village of Outcasts once you've done the digging game.
Yeah, so with Thieves Town, obviously they're going to do that before they leave this area. And Mclagging hopefully will remember to check the brewery. And now, did he check Sick Kid? Sick Kid didn't have much anyway, just the 20 rupees, but just
I believe
wondering.
only one person has.
Yeah, okay.
But as far as Thieves Town goes, Mclagging's first in there. There are 4 chests here in the front side of the dungeon. One of them will always be the big key. And then, of course, many combination of dungeon items and remaining random items, filling the remaining 3. No particular expectation to find a key of any kind besides the big one, but you can still get a small key, I believe.
So Alucard checked the brewery first, got another red rupee. And so we don't know which medallions we're gonna need. We're gonna need one or two of them, depending on if Mire and Turtle Rock, whatever is required for them, if they're the same or different. We have Bombos. We've seen Ether on the Desert Ledge, which once we find Titan's Mitts, we can grab. So that's a non-factor. It's just a matter of whether or not we're gonna need Quake at this point. Since we would need Titan's Mitts to enter Mire or Turtle Rock, we already know we can use Titan's Mitts to get Ether anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Fair point to make, and those are the things that, when you're in the middle of racing a game like this, I guess it's kind of an art form. You have to really keep those things running in the back of your mind while also trying to mechanically play the game. And that's something that a lot of people have struggled with. Very easy to make mistakes based on that.
Yeah, 128 people have struggled with that. That's why we're only have 128 left.
Yeah, I was unfortunately one of the other 400 or so. I don't know about you.
Oh, was it 5? That's right. Yeah, 4.
Whatever.
Folks, whatever.
Over 500 people
times
in this
3
tournament.
is 384, I guess. Off the top of my head, I'm guessing. Rest.
That should be the math. Yes. I'm not good at math myself either, but as far as narrowing down this tournament, of course, this is the heaviest week of the brackets. We're gonna have the most races going on this week overall. We'll be narrowing this down, single elimination format, all the way until the finals rounds, but they're gonna be best of 3s. So this being the third match of the series, these runners have had some time to kind of contemplate their own decisions, their opponents' decisions. A lot of this may come down to additional strategy that's informed by previous races, and that's both a vice and a virtue in Randomizer. It pays to have a short memory, but at the same time, if you made a bad play, that's something you want to kind of keep in mind later if you're faced with the same situation.
Mm-hmm. And also, taking into account what your opponent did and trying to figure out if they are going to adjust or, stick to their normal plan. So one of the more nuanced abilities in Randomizer is to understand what your opponent's going to do if you know their play style, and then determine whether you are ahead or behind based on that, and then whether you're ahead or behind, decide to either play consistently or take bigger risks.
All right, so I didn't catch, because of a stream refresh on my end, on what was in the big chest in Thieves Town. Did you catch that?
Yeah, that was a red rupee.
A lot of big 20s in here today. Oh, wait a second. Did you say the chest that was with the maiden? Because I think somebody just mentioned that there was mitts in the vanilla chest.
Oh. You know what? That could be. I think I was looking at Alucard's, and Alucard maybe just picked up a red rupee in the attic. And I was getting my streams crossed. Sorry about that.
No worries. Ghostbusters warned us against that, though.
You think when Mclagging's taken down blind, he's like, "This chick is toast."
Pretty much at that point, I'm certainly going to shine a light on, exactly what's really going on here in Thieves Town.
Let's shed some light on this mystery.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but, just gotta do what you can, do what you can, maybe. Pretty great blind fight overall, though, for Mclagging. Alucard in a great position to have a good fight as well. Doesn't have sword beams by 1 heart, which is kind of unfortunate. And I guess we were right before about Alucard having checked the sick kit. Mclagging's doing that now.
And since he's got Titan's Mitt, he'll be able to combine the magic bat check with taking the dwarves home with hammer pegs possibly picking up even Gary's lunchbox.
Oh man, Alucard was so close to the perfect blind.
And maybe his strategy was to go in without sword beams so they wouldn't get in the way.
You know, I've seen people do both. With blind, you know, it's like you can get a faster phase 3, I guess, if you're trying to save like literally frames. But I mean, you know, it should be a non-issue either way. Well, not a lot of digs to work with to try to make some art here in the dig game. We're gonna get a full heart container from that. Yeah, what a convenient place to get mitts. I mean, I know it's vanilla and all, but, you know, lots of things we can do with them immediately after picking them up.
Yeah, we could go into Misery Mire. I think that would be the play, at least get the 3 overworld items, pick up that ether on the ledge, and see what we're going to need to get inside.
Well, we've crossed the hour mark here in the seed, and still no boots, but we do have flutes, we do have, you know, swords to work with, pretty well equipped overall. As far as what we're actually looking for to complete the seed, probably hookshot unless we're hover gods, and we find boots, but probably hookshot, probably ice rod, well, definitely ice rod. You know, boots would be handy, maybe silvers, I don't know, there's not that many things we still need here.
Yeah, and we do actually need either boots or hookshot to get in the mire, so we'll have one of those 2 items before Ganon's tower. We can only hope that it's boots and that hookshot's in the Ganon's tower big chest or some kind of silly thing like that.
Could you imagine the goose chase that would happen from that? You know, like, how many people would immediately run to the mimic cave they skipped? How many people would, you know, go track down the left side swamp?
Or how about even putting Book in the Ganon's tower somewhere and, too much fun. Just, we see what kind of ideas chat comes up with. Chat always makes the best plandos. Or planned randomizers.
With the exception of Wizrobe, of course.
Oh yeah, Wizrobe makes the best plandos, but he always throws a little spice in with some ROM hacking skills.
You know, I feel like if I mention his name enough times, like, you know, Wizrobe, he'll just show up and, you know, start making plandos again. We have sync, yet again.
So yeah, that little detour of Magic Bat and picking up the sword allowed Alucard to gain a little bit of his time back. It is less than a second ahead. Now, what else might he have done? Or did Mclagging do anything that Alucard did not?
You know, with all the races of this tournament, I'm kind of losing track of every individual race at some point. But I mean, I think they've done mostly the same things overworld. We haven't picked up any major items that the others missed.
And speaking of track, shoutouts to our tracker Oddwalls, who is doing a great job even picking up those Titans mitts when both commentators missed it.
Yeah, amazingly done work by Oddwalls. Greatly appreciated.
Okay. The chat's reminding me, Mclagging has checked Spike Cave for 300 rubies. Now, Alucard hasn't done that. He might do it once he heads up to Death Mountain the second time. Unless Hookshot Cave or something puts him in go mode.
Also, both of our runners remembering that in order to... Well, actually, they can't, unless they find the book in the chest, they can't really take this to the Bombos tablet.
Right.
But maybe that's what they're preparing for. Because otherwise, I would think you'd just flute over here.
Maybe they'll head in the swamp from here.
That would be really convenient.
Not Alucard. Swamp, of course, is a pendant. Okay, so I like this. We're going to go into desert, or we're going to rather get to Desert Ledge with the Ether Medallion. Since we do not yet know if we'll need it for Turtle Rock, may as well grab it while we're here. And we're going to see what we need to get inside Misery Mire.
I also saw some Well, I saw Mclagging do it. I didn't see Alucard if he did it or not. But I saw him change or manipulate the altitude of the bird. I'm wondering if we're going to see something spooky today.
Alright, nothing in the Mire shed, but we did see that ether was required for Misery Mire, and how convenient. It's about as close to it as it can be. Just on the other side of the dimensional rift.
Yeah, another case of, you know, leaving the key not under the doormat, but maybe like inside the mailbox.
Or have one of those fake hollow rocks.
Honestly, the first place that I would not check.
Oh, that's gut-wrenching. You see a blue potion there, and you want it so badly, but Mclagging actually... Okay, I thought he was sitting there contemplating it for a second, then I saw that his timer wasn't moving. He just had a little bit of a hiccup, but he does pick up the blue pot. We do have 2 bottles already, and plenty of rupees to buy potions, but when that potion's already right there, why the heck not? Alucard, we'll see if his hubris pays off, and he can get through the last few dungeons without needing that refill, and with red mail and half magic, it's likely enough that he will sail through them.
So that might be one reason that Mclagging's... Well, I mean, he might be holding off on... or he might have picked it up just so that he doesn't have to stop at the potion vendor at all. Maybe trying to, like, avoid that trip altogether.
Yeah, but then, of course, if Alucard goes and fills up both bottles, he gets 2 blue potions, and he'll be a potion ahead, and if he...
And we have powder.
We had Bugnet.
Oh, yeah, we do need Bugnet.
So the boots will not be required unless they really want those red rupees. But Alucard does not see fit to finish up Desert Palace. He can... Oh, this is... talk about risky place here. He's either just checking Spike Cave, or he's going to do Super Bunny and possibly even head into Turtle Rock. Now, he's got 2 of the 3 medallions. Odds are he should be able to get into Turtle Rock. The question's going to be whether or not he finds Ice Rod on the way. That's, you know, assuming that he won't even need Quake to get inside. Or it could just be a Spike Cave Spike. He could be going to this guy. Could just be a Spike Cave check.
Could be putting on his invincibility cape or actually the Cane of Burna in this particular scenario.
Yeah, remembers to equip the hammer first to hit the whack-a-mole. Is very important. Now, Mclagging actually is going to go into Turtle Rock. At least do this 2 chests at Super Bunny and see what he needs for Turtle Rock. I could see this play being either huge or devastating. There's really no in-between here.
Yeah, it's a pretty large time sink, and Alucard saves and quits. This would be the right choice, even if you're going back up to Turtle Rock, which Mountain Cave suggests either doing that or fluting away. No menu. Looks like he's heading towards East FM.
I'm having some trouble with these cabbages. Having a rough time with the roughage.
Just getting pelted non-stop. Deadrock's being pretty friendly overall, but I mean, that's just raining on his parade today.
And it is ether required for Turtle Rock, so good on them for grabbing that before coming up here. And let's see if Mclagging's just opening the door or if he wants to go ahead in. I imagine he'd at least check Super Bunnies before going in there, though. 2 items that we call them Super Bunny because there is a minor sequence break called Super Bunny that allows you to get these chests without Moon Pearl.
Yep, all you have to do is get to this cave in Bunny state, which you don't have to use. You can't use any weapons or items anyway. But if you drop down one of these holes, the game gets kind of confused and lets Link in Bunny state open up chests. But there's removing all doubt, the almost French vanilla key under the doormat. The equivalent for Turtle Rock at least, but we didn't need Quake today.
So with this following the same paths, at least it appears at this point, it's basically just means Mclagging is ahead and Alucard will try to catch up on execution. Not much, unless they diverge after Turtle Rock, there is not much Alucard can do in terms of routing the catch up, other than, you know, if they do something different after Turtle Rock. It could be down to execution, or could be down to some choices after Turtle Rock.
Oh, boing, boing, boing.
Yeah, immediate hook shot. So that solves our Misery Mire dilemma as well as our Ganon's Tower dilemma. And now we can put Ice Rod in Misery Mire. So we'll see.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate reality here.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is the hook shot being there is bad for Alucard, and the reason it is since he's behind and we'll have to rely on execution rather than routing to catch up. That hook shot is going to make the situation such that there is one correct place to go after Turtle Rock. So we will not see a divergence. We will see Misery Mire immediately after Turtle Rock. The only thing Alucard could...
Wow!
Well, there goes what I was about to say. I was going to say the only thing Alucard could do differently is peace out and hope that the Ice Rod is in Misery Mire, but now that would be absolutely wrong.
Yeah, just in case you were having fun building a theory in your mind, Turtle Rock came here, and version 29 logic came here to smack you right in the face.
So the runners have entered go mode, barring an unfortunate Ganon's Tower big key on a torch situation, which would require them to get boots. But basically, they're going to treat it like go mode. And oh no, Alucard, I was just kidding. Oh, okay. He's just going to check the hookshot K first, and then... This isn't bad. This is actually a really smart play from Alucard. I mean, you know, from his perspective, this is a brilliant move.
Yeah, really not a lot of time sink in doing this, and, you know, entering Turtle Rock, what, you lose like 10-15 seconds? I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah, this is 4 extra spots. Okay, so one of the
payoff.
other factors, silver arrows for Alucard.
Holy friholies.
So what this means is Mclagging is likely not going to check that item, since he's basically in go mode, unless he goes in there looking for boots, which actually could happen. So if he goes in there looking for boots, he'll be surprised pleasantly to find silver arrows. But if he finds boots in Turtle Rock or Misery Mire and doesn't actually check them, what this is going to mean is Alucard can gain a little bit of that execution time by having a stronger arrow. This will save him a little bit of time against Vitreous, possibly some time in Ganon's Tower, and a good chunk of time against the final fight against Ganon. So if you are an Alucard fan, you hope that Mclagging doesn't pick up the silver arrows. If you're a Mclagging fan, you just hope that he makes a divergence to grab them.
And even if he doesn't spend the time to, you know, it's just going to be determined pretty much on execution without those silvers. With all the boss fights where you would save time, Vitreous, you can do a zero cycle without having silvers. You can do, you know, a fast kill on Ice Armos, but they're much more difficult fights. Easier to mess up and easier to bleed, you know, seconds at a time. So while Mclagging does have a reasonable and sizable, like a measurable advantage right now, silvers could absolutely be the difference here. One of those rare situations where it looks like it really would come down to something like that.
And there's our 4th bottle and our 2nd one that contains a B. Shout outs to B-Torp, also known as V-Torp, our one of our lead developers on Link to the Past Randomizer. If you ever see a bee in a bottle, blame him. I don't think he actually increased the odds of putting bees in bottles. It's just, we like to blame him anyway.
All around good guy. V-Torp's a pretty chill dude. You'll see him hanging around in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually still in the tournament. I don't know if he made it out of Swiss stage.
I thought he did, but then again, you know, it's a big schedule. Kind of hard to remember exactly if everybody's in.
Yeah, 64 different head-to-head matchups in this round.
Well, we are coming up on a laser bridge here. We just need a small key. Instead, we get Butter Sword.
I can't believe it. Snot
You're
butter.
saying it's marginally better than the sword we had before?
go spread your bad jokes somewhere else.
You know, I mean, when it comes to the supply of them, I'm just kind of melting when it comes to these puns. Almost out completely. Also, a tempered sword, that's like a hot, knife through what eventually became butter, right?
What? You lost me on that one.
Contrived puns, I'm like really reaching on that one. Chad, bear with us here. One of us is good at puns, and the other one's me.
You're not mean. Don't say that.
Well, I said the other one is me.
Oh. Just said mean. Anyway,
for 5
so
in the last 5 minutes.
Trinex is down almost, and we don't have our big key guessing game quite yet, since Mclagging actually has to go and defeat Vitreous first. And we'll see. He might still check Hookshot Cave after doing Vitreous, since it'll be on his way to Ganon's Tower, or he might go do it right now. I don't imagine he'll do it right now, but if he doesn't now and you're still rooting for him to pick up those silver arrows, just don't give up hope.
Yeah, so this is an interesting scenario for runners in this particular, set and setting. They are about an hour and 16 minutes into the seed. They know that their opponent has the ability to clear this, seed pretty quickly. You gotta wonder, I mean, do you check Hookshot Cave when you know you can complete the game with Butter Sword? It's just like, I know a lot of runners out there wouldn't, but maybe that would be the right choice for them. Hindsight's gonna be 20/20 for both of these runners. I'm curious what their thoughts are gonna be after this.
I think the biggest factor that's going to play into checking Hookshot Cave or not checking Hookshot Cave is, are you looking for boots? Are you afraid that Ganon's Tower Big Key is on the torch? So, if they happen to find boots in Misery Mire, it could actually be a curse in disguise for Mclagging, because it would mean he probably is not going to stop and look for those silvers. And he might even pick up extra chests inside Ganon's Tower, hoping to grab them.
Yeah, and being that there are 22 places to get items in there, I mean, wouldn't be all that surprising to find something like that there. We obviously know better, but, as far as Mclagging's concerned, maybe banking on it.
Alright, so I believe a moment ago we were talking about how chat comes up with the best plandos or planned locations to place all these items. I think they're looking for a Ganon's Tower Big Key on the torch with boots on pedestal. And
well,
it's possible. It's possible, guys.
So you're saying there's a chance?
What I want to see as a mode is that we have bit races, which are really cool. How chat can interact with the game in real time. What I want to see is we let chat watch the seed for about half an hour and see how it starts unfolding, and then come up with the worst case scenarios and vote on them and alter the item locations. So that it basically becomes a half plando. Like the first half is random, and then chat kind of votes on the plando part at the end.
So you're saying it's an interacto rando plando?
Oh, is DP boots locked? I thought there was a rupee on the torch. I missed.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was big 20s, you said. Well, I mean,
we have several people in
chat,
chat, including the aforementioned VTorp, saying Desert Palace is boots locked.
So would you say that's BTorp confirmed then?
Yeah. So it was a small key on torch and big 20 in the chest. Which means the big key would be locked behind the small key, which is locked behind boots. Oh man. Don't worry, we can still go for, Ether Tablet having boots or something.
Yeah, still plenty of opportunity for Troll. Certainly a low percentage possibility, but, like I was saying before, there's a chance.
And Mclagging is tearing through Misery Mire, already going downstairs on his way to Vitreous.
Well, we're not going to see it with a slight stutter of frames here, but he's going to dash just before he places this Canis Maria block, which is setting up which slot or which sprite is going to use that stored altitude value from the bird earlier. We saw him do that setup before. Maybe it messed up the setup. He's going to, I think, throw a block? Or maybe he's just defaulting back to standard strats. I could have sworn I saw him do the setup, though. All right, I was made a liar from Mclagging. Apologies, folks. I wonder if Alucard's going to do the actual spooky action glitch, though. It's very exciting to see him talk about. Well, with Butter Sword and no silvers, I gotta think damage boost is the way to go here.
Yeah, unfortunately, no cape. That makes a really nice Vitreous fight, along with that Butter Sword.
Oh, wow, we're gonna opt for lag strats. This could take a while. No way, he actually got a zero cycle out of that thanks to Butter swipes. That was actually really good.
So with Misery Mire completed and our 7th crystal obtained, you know what that means. It's time for our big key in Ganon's Tower guessing game. There are 22 possible locations for the big key to be in Ganon's Tower, and Mclagging will be checking them in whatever order he pleases, and we are going to guess a number between 1 and 22. If you are a supporter of Speed Gaming, that means that you are subscribed to one of the 6 Speed Gaming channels, or have donated at least 250 boots across 2 bits. I'm just so focused on that. I'm looking for number 3, right?
Yeah. Well, I was also fixated on it because I missed that he couldn't do the setup without the boots, so that was the whole reason behind this.
So Mclagging takes a detour to grab the potions. But anyway, get your guesses in. The first person to guess correctly, if you are a supporter of Speed Gaming Network, then you will be added to our leaderboards.
Well, you're a fan of 3 for the simple hilarity of it. I am always a fan and faithful in Bob. In Bob we trust. So I'm hoping for 14 myself.
All right. And now, here is the moment of truth. Will Mclagging check the hookshot cave and look for boots and happen upon those silver arrows. And with this route, it could go either way. If he wanted to check Super Bunnies, he wouldn't go this way, but Hookshot Cave can be done with either portal.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be surprising to see him check it. It also wouldn't be surprising to see him skip it either. I mean, it's like, this high caliber of a race, this late into the tournament, doing this well, you gotta be nervous about your opponent dot dunning pretty soon.
Yeah, at the very least, entering go mode at just over the hour mark, figure your opponent's at least got to be that far at this point. All right, so here we go. Do we pick up the rock or do we skip it? And okay, Mclagging will not be picking up silver arrows, so
and will that get your last guesses in?
Yeah, once he enters Ganon's Tower, we will be closing the Ganon's Tower big key guesses. So Mclagging is ahead, but he will certainly lose time against Ganon since he doesn't have silver arrows, and possibly even lose time against Ice Armos or Land Molas, depending on which strategies he employs. The silver. If he's used to relying on silver arrows for those fights.
And this is interestingly enough, about the difference that silvers tends to make in MMG. So kind of curious to see how this is going to play out. All right, well, we have cut it off on our end. Chest number 1 will be a heart piece, which finishes up the container and the boots.
Well then, do I even still want to be right with number 3? I don't know.
In the interest of a close race, I hope not, but the cape, actually.
Now so they can get the big 20 at Bumper Cave.
There you go. Now that we have one of the Deathly Hollows.
Well, they've also got the Fire Rod. They just need the Moon Pearl.
What did I...
They have
What?
all three. They've got Moon Pearl, Cape. Well, they don't have Cape. But they've got Moon Pearl and Fire Rod.
Well, so instead of
Deathly Hallows.
instead of trying to get the Resurrection Stone, you know, they or no, instead of trying to get the Cape, of Invisibility, they decided to spare Bob.
But they can just resurrect him with the Philosopher's Stone. Doesn't make any sense.
Oh boy, people calling it the Philosopher's Stone. This isn't Full Metal. And it certainly isn't Harry Potter either, but we're in Ganon's Tower, so we've checked, what is that, 8 locations now?
Yeah, yeah, it should be, right? That's the Firebar room's typically number 8, and he's doing his routing standard. So he accidentally switched to hookshot before detonating the block, lost a little bit of time on a couple menus there. I guess, you know, we got the Big Pig coming up. It's more like Harry Porker.
There you go. I was going to lead in with a man-bear pig discussion, but honestly, that's the best thing that could have happened. Well, 9 chests in, and we do get our last shield upgrade, so we are very heavily armed. Mclagging making his way towards 10 through 13 now. Ooh, and Bob is dead. Alucard does complete the Deathly Hallows. We'll see if this is going to result in a victory today.
This could be, I don't know. I guess it could help. I think that's a good pickup if you don't have Butter Sword, but since Ganon's basically free with Butter Sword, you know, you're gonna one-cycle the first 2 phases no matter what anyway. Not as enticing as if even with Tempered Sword you can get in there and have a... Ooh! Careful, Mclagging. So these are just precious seconds that he might not be able to afford since he's going to be losing a precious minute or so without the silver arrows. And Alucard's following the same route here, and we have your famous, beloved Bob's chest coming up.
And Bob we trust, and Mclagging has saved him for last, the very last health morsel that he's going to collect.
Oh, and sprinkles a little bit of flue powder on top of him and teleports him across the room.
You know, that's some patented speed tech there. Bob potentially going to win the any percent EG category. One nice thing about these Armos is that you can delay their spinning around cycle if you keep them from reaching their resting position. So that's how Mclagging here is able to get a nice fast kill.
Yeah, really nicely done, but I still think it's faster with silver arrows, even counting the lag.
Looks like it was chest 16 then for our, because 14 was Bob, 15, 16, yeah. So 16 was our big key, and with that, Mclagging is heading upstairs. No time to be saved based on routing here.
Yeah. So he did actually pick up an extra chest afterward as well. And, you know, it's just a second, but like we said, looks like it's going to be a game of seconds. And Alucard, you know, as I was saying, despite the lag from the silver arrows, it will at least have an easier Ice Armos fight, if not that much faster.
And of course, it was Ganon's Tower. Anything can happen to our runners. You know, you never know. But if everything goes as planned and it's pretty straightforward, this is going to be really tight with that difference of silvers. Butter kind of limits how much that is, but you know, scary nonetheless to see any mistake happen right now. But also, congratulations and shout-outs to Morbus99, who is the first person to correctly guess 16 here in Ganon's Tower.
All right, Mclagging is going to skip the safety room. He did pick up a couple of potions, so... That is, Alucard's got the silver arrows, but Mclagging has the safeties. Although Alucard has bug net. For what, if that's worth anything. I think the amount of time from a fairy revival would basically be too much to even be worth saving him from a death. This race is going to be so close.
Yeah, it'd be a fatal mistake if you get to that point. But right now, finishing up Gauntlet pretty smoothly overall for Mclagging. Alucard just barely about to enter in just a few screens here, so this advantage is still working out pretty well, but we're going to see this gap change a lot more as we get towards the back half of this dungeon, and of course Ganon himself. Looking like a missed opportunity for a one cycle on the Lamolus fight. Mclagging does get it in 2, though. With that, Alucard will be the second one to go through Ganon Ball Z. On the next episode, we have the Gauntlet.
That's not an episode of Ganon Ball Z. He made it across the room in less than an episode.
You're right. He didn't spend any... Well, the amount of time he spent charging up with his dash should have been at least 3 episodes.
You just imagine an episode of anime with like Link just standing there stuttering,
just kicking up dust.
Little fart clouds coming out of his feet. And oh yeah, we have chat pointing out Alucard only has 5 arrows now. Each there, he did just skip another arrow drop, and I wonder if his arrow woes from the beginning of the run are gonna tell the story at the end, but hopefully not. In any case, there is a jar after Land Mode 2. If he gets 3 for 3, this will be amazing. Alright, takes a look at his arrow count and decides to go Fire Rod strats instead. But there is an arrow drop. He'll get 5 arrows in the next room if he knows where to look for them. I think it's the top right pot.
That sounds correct to me. It's definitely one of them in the next room. He's going to miss a 2 cycle out of this. Going to get a 4 cycle, actually, because of that item switch. Had he gone with those arrows and timed it well, he may have actually been able to just knock them all out in 1 cycle.
Yeah, and Mclagging fakes a little hover there. Does use his hook shot to get across to the chest. Doesn't pick it up, despite having to come in contact with it and despite being down silver arrows. So he just has given up all hope on finding them, which, you know, he wasn't going to find them. We knew he wasn't going to find him, but he didn't know he wasn't going to find him.
I've seen weirder things, though. I was just commentating a race earlier where somebody skipped both of the mini Helmasaur chests and then found their tempered sword in the last gas stop before getting right
wow.
Too.
So Mclagging had a double and then a triple and then a single. Looked like a 2-3-1. Very nice Aghanim 2 fight. He will be going on to the final boss, and you will see Alucard will probably at least be on Ganon by the time Mclagging finishes. We'll see exactly how much of an advantage the silver arrows are giving Alucard. And he did remember to pick up the arrows under the jar. I see an 8 on his HUD there. That's very good.
Yeah, it was very critical for Mclagging to get that 3 cycle Aghanim, because that's one of those time losses. You know, you have the exact same RNG as your opponent.
Yeah, and we did actually see Alucard in yesterday's race come up with a clutch double triple.
That's sick. And that would actually help him out a lot towards pairing this up. Right now, you know, Moldorm 2, he's right on his heels. Well, it seems like Mclagging is taking it pretty carefully here for this Ganon fight, just making sure he doesn't fall, doesn't take any extra damage. We find out that vanilla Big 20 chest for after Moldorm 2 is just a piece of heart today. As far as this Ganon fights go, though, with Butter Sword, it's 6 slashes for the first 2 cycles. The 3rd cycle, we just need to hit him 4 times when he eventually stops warping the jerk.
Yep, and then he will have to do 12 spin attacks against Ganon in the final phase. The Butter Sword not actually helping with that. A nice double from Alucard in round 1 of Aga 2. And, oh, Mclagging misses a torch glitch. Now, he's got half magic and potion, so he's not worried about soft locking here. It's just going to cost a lot of time. It's going to be a lot harder even to get 2 hits per cycle here. This could be devastating for Mclagging. He tried to get it a cheeky early hit before the torch went out, but it could possibly have cost him the race.
Judging by the looks of it, this seems to be the case. Now, what you do when you get in this situation is you just got to try and stagger these lantern lightnings. Unfortunately for Mclagging right now, having taken that hug he just took is actually really difficult to set it up afterwards. So we had to wait for yet another expiration of the torch.
Yeah, and we even had Ganon blocking a fire rod shot, and torch goes out right before another hit. That is, wow. If you are a fan of close races, then I hope you've been watching, because, or at least watching now. If you're listening to my voice, it's very likely that you're watching right now, and you gotta be excited.
Well, we've had about 3 or 4 sword spins so far. The first 3 cycles very quick for Ganon and Gold Sword, so Alucard going to be catching up to this cycle very fast. He's already on phase 2.
We did have a significant number of teleports, but oh boy.
Yeah, also, Runner Watcher in chat pointing out that, yeah, you can't really save time here with using Fire Rod over Lantern, so it's better to save the magic. You can only get 2 attacks per cycle when you lose Torch Glitch.
True. It might be a little easier to time, though.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing.
Oh, he's down. Okay, wow, that was, clutched it out in the end, managed to, even missing the Torch Glitch, finish out Ganon right before Alucard enters the final phase.
That's about as close as that could have got.
Yeah, Mclagging keeping the fans at home entertained here, and Alucard, of course, going to have a much easier phase 4 with Silver Arrows here. Alright, he's all done. All he has to do is walk across the bridge, and we got some meow meows from the Triforce.
Yeah, oh my god, that is right. Mclagging has finished with his official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 39 seconds. Alucard finishing with a 1:36.11. GG to both of our racers. This is an incredible race.
Yeah, and we'll see if both of the runners want to come in for an interview. And since we finished so close, we can probably just get them both in here at once. The invites just went out to them to join our voice call.
What an incredible finish. Oh my goodness. I got to think, though, that these guys have a lot of thoughts about how this all went. I mean, it's a very linear race for the most part. Making almost the identical plays across pretty much the majority of the seed. Only with a few overworld locations kind of being routed differently, it seemed like.
You know what? It came down to that Mothula fight, I think. It wasn't quite that close, but Mclagging, just in general, his Village of Outcasts and Skullwoods routing was a little bit faster. And spent less time in Turtle Rock since he didn't warp out after grabbing the hook shot like Alucard did, which was really a gutsy play from Mclagging and a smart play from Alucard that just unfortunately didn't work out the way he wanted.
Yeah, I want to say that the right way to have done that would have been after leaving Turtle Rock, and then wouldn't have lost extra time going back in.
Well, the thing is that you don't know that Ice Rod is in the next chest in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bonkers location for it. So I haven't heard anything from our runners. Any idea if it looks like I don't see any response from them in the race channel either.
Yeah, they've been Mclagging was just active in the race chat here. But while we are waiting for the runners to cool off here and get their interview shoes on, let's go over the schedule. We actually have Doo-Doo Dude versus Prior 57. That's on Speed Gaming. I'm not sure. That one might even be over. It started at the same time as this one. We have a race that started just over an hour ago. Big Dunka versus Jacobs for Life on Speed Gaming 4. And we have Ninjembro versus Lanxian, which is just about an hour in. That is on ALTTP Randomizer. So go ahead and follow ALTTP Randomizer N234 of those channels, as well as Speed Gaming 2, Speed Gaming 3, Speed Gaming 4, Speed Gaming 5, Speed Gaming 6 for all of your rando and other speedrunning race needs. If you check out the channel info below the stream here, you see the events that we have. We've got weekly races for other Zelda randomizer games, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Super Metroid Friday night races, which actually the Super Metroid community's been doing those races for years, and finally getting them up here on Speed Gaming, which is really cool to see. And I think. Oh, and here we go. We have the runners here.
So as we're bringing them in, of course, a reminder, if you liked what you saw today, give these guys a follow. It looks like we were joined by both of our racers, Mclagging and Alucard. GG to both of you. Are you guys with us?
I think we have to unmute them.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh.
I can hear you, and I am good now.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for putting on an excellent show for us. It was a pleasure to commentate it. It was really exciting. Came down to the wire at the end there, even with a missed torch glitch from Mclagging. Almost, possibly could have cost him the race, but he managed to execute on phase 4 despite the torches being out. So that was amazing. But GG in the end to you, Mclagging. Congratulations on your victory. And how did you feel about that run overall in the series against Alucard?
Well, thank you. This whole series has been really close between both of us, so not surprised it came down to the wire yet again.
Yeah, and Alucard, I have to congratulate you on making a very intelligent play of mirroring out of Turtle Rock and checking Hookshot K for the Ice Rod. That was absolutely the right thing to do, and I congratulate you for making that decision. Unfortunately, the Ice Rod was the very next chest in Turtle Rock, though, so it didn't really pay off. Paid off with silvers, but a lot of traversal time, lost to that.
Yeah, I was thinking about actually doing the first 3 and then mirroring, which is why I walked through the door, and then I was like, wait a second, maybe I should just do this now and just get it over with. And I was like, all right, silvers, that's fine. I'm gonna go back in. I'm not gonna doubt myself for making this play up here. And it was the next chest. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I could see you checking the roller pin room first, since some runners will even opt to mirror out of that room, especially bootsless. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I in hindsight, I thought that might have been a better play, but then I wouldn't have mirrored, and I wouldn't have got silvers probably, but I would have saved some time, so maybe it would break even. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have broken even. Unfortunately, this will be the end of your spring tournament life of Link to the Past Standard Randomizer Tournament. How do you feel about your experience overall with the Swiss stages, which you had a very good showing for the Swiss stages? I think you were 6-1, I think, or
no, I was 5-2. I barely crested.
I mean, still. Still,
it came down to the wire
because
I was 4-2 going into the last Swiss stage match, and I won by like a minute. So I was far from a solid 6-1 record, but I had a lot of fun playing, and I mean, I'm gonna keep playing and enjoying this game. I couldn't have asked for a better opponent for the bracket stage here, because I mean, I went back and watched the first 2 matches. Those were really intense and lots of, interesting gambles by both of us, and just, I don't know. It's just been a fun series. I don't regret anything at all, especially with it coming this close and down to the wire. So.
All right, excellent. And if you
happy.
are a fan of Alucard2004, which after this race, how could you not be? Go over to his channel and give him a follow. He also does some crossover randomizer and some Super Metroid stuff, does some cool tabletop things as well. And of course, if you're a fan of Alucard2004, we're sure to catch him on commentary as the bracket stages continue, aren't we?
Oh yeah, you can count on that. Right. Also, I have to say, Landmo and Aga, please! That's all I have to say about
Yeah, well, you got a double triple yesterday against Aga, didn't you?
I did.
What happened to that?
No comment. But Mclagging's execution was on point. I mean, obviously we have the delay, so I was able to peek in and see the comparison, and he is an excellent execution and routing player. So I'm gonna be rooting for him coming up here, round of 64.
And of
Awesome.
course, on that note, you do want to catch all of that as well to get an idea of when Mclagging will be racing, or when the tournament will be progressing to the next stage. You definitely want to follow these channels, as you mentioned before. But Mclagging, if you want to see some more of the execution practice that got him to this point, 64 round beckons, and the best of 3 series beyond this as well, having won 2 out of 3 here. Give him a follow as well. Definitely a lot to see from both of these runners. So it was a very, very exciting race to commentate today. And I want to thank you guys for putting on the show for us today. I had a blast.
So Mclagging will be advancing to round 2. He will be facing either Korik or Thelany. Thelany actually has the first win in their best of 3 series. And who are you rooting for, Mclagging? Who do you want to see in round 2?
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen Flaney run too much. I've heard of Korik before, but I'm ready for either one that makes it through.
Yeah, they've both been in the rando circuit for a few tournaments now, so some familiar names. So as you can see, the practice is paying off for the runners that have been playing this game for a little bit of time, but still a ton of new runners. We had a ton of signups. We had so many signups on day 1 of this tournament that we actually had to upgrade our challenge account to, broaden the Swiss stage to get an extra 200 people in the race, and then that filled up within a day or two. So a lot of new people getting into Randomizer, which is really cool to see.
It says a lot about the quality of this game, the original, and every little bit of love that's gone into it since then.
Yeah, and the communities as well. Shout outs to the people that know Link to the Past vanilla and have kind of migrated over, and the people that have just basically gotten into speedrunning and streaming just for Randomizer. Just all of the Link to the Past Randomizer and speed gaming staff welcoming everybody in. You can check out our Discord, and any questions for from new runners, we're happy to invite you in and help you out and get you started. But
well, with that in mind, one thing I do want to ask Mclagging before we kind of tie a knot in this, or a bow, you got your next best of 3 round coming up, and of course this tournament's only going to get even more heated and competitive if you want to say that our 35 or our 36 finish wasn't already competitive and spicy. Is there anything that you plan on doing to prepare yourself for your next round?
Not too sure about doing too much. I've been practicing my NMG lately, so I want to keep working on that while I wait for whoever my next opponent is, so looking forward to it.
Just having better execution, and it's your execution today, it looked like it's going to be hard to improve much on that, but if you see some room for improvement and gain that, gaining an extra 10-15 seconds could make a difference this late in a tournament.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this one was only 31 seconds apart, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more close ones.
I think we will be getting the boot pretty soon here. So once again, I am Cross Product. I'm joined by you, Diamonistic. Thank you for co-commentating with me today, and especially thanks to our runners and the Cyclone, the Restreamer, and Oddwalls doing the tracker today behind the scenes, as well as all the speed gaming staff. So follow the runners, follow the tracker, follow the commentary if you like, follow the Restreamer, follow Feasel, follow speed gaming.
Just gonna say ditto to all that.
If you like Randomizer, there's always going to be something to watch for you on Twitch. So thank you very much for tuning in, and with that, I will let my partner, you Diamonistic. So too much coffee today. Nap plus coffee equals hypercross.
Well, the nap percent stress.
Let's just sign this off there.
Well, if my name wasn't word soup enough, I have been Diamonistic, joined by Cross Product. Folks from everybody here on the Speed Gaming Casting Couch, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next mission.